Warning, the Catholic Man Show contains high levels of manliness. It's simple, really. You either want to grow in virtue and holiness, or you want to be a sissy, whiny baby. If you choose to move forward, grab your whiskey glass, because the Catholic Man Show is starting right now.
Welcome to the Catholic Man Show. We're on the Lord's team, the winning side, so raise your glass. Adam Minahan here, sitting with David Niles. Juan is pushing the buttons this evening, has been a big help. Jim, Bo Baggins is over here by us. Jimothy, James.
Jiminy Cricket. We haven't used that one yet, I don't think. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I might change you in my phone, Jim, to Jiminy Cricket.
Jiminy Cricket. Dave, this is a great episode. We've actually already recorded the second part.
Yeah. Full disclosure.
We've already done.
We got a good episode coming up for you with Sister Helena.
I kept wanting to say Helena. In fact, I didn't. I actually did say it.
You did say it
several times.
We caught you.
Yes.
You caught yourself, I think. But anyway. Yes, we're going to be talking about the masculine genius.
Mm-hmm.
And, we have a woman on the show for this particular episode, so it's not a bunch of dudes talking about how awesome we are. Everybody come see how good I look. Men really are geniuses, though, aren't they?
Dave,
yes.
You make a brilliant point. I agree with that.
Thank you. I also thought it was brilliant.
Show over. Oh man, no, but it really was a lot of fun. She's so awesome. Daughters of St. Paul.
She's very funny.
Yeah, she is very funny. Daughters of St. Paul. So anyway, I'm really excited about that.
Big theology of the body fan, which personally I'm a fan. Makes me a fan.
Yes.
If you're big into the theology of the body, we can be friends.
Yes. We're not drinking anything this evening. We normally are drinking some kind of whiskey or beer or something.
Yeah.
But being Holy Week, we're going to abstain from drinking.
Yes, we're just partaking in the parched state.
Should be all right.
I am parched.
I actually had a little bit of water. My beautiful wife she heard me cough and brought up a pitcher of water.
She thought you were thirsty.
Because she thought I was thirsty, which I was. So I did have a little bit. So Dave, hey, so we were talking, we talked a little bit last week about how the importance of men being together. And remember when I said what Luke did taking those cold showers, hearing us talk about it, and I didn't talk to him about it, but he caught on.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, the importance of that. And we just had last week also our men's group that we always have, our Spirit and Smoke.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, if you're listening right now and you don't have a men's group that you're going to, please start one. The Holy Spirit keeps nagging me on this. Every time I'm in adoration, I keep I feel like I have to bring it up on the show. So listen, I'm talking to you, listener, right now, who does not have a men's group right now. Start one. It's time to start one. Find one. Get one going. Last week, whenever we had our men's group, we were talking about prayer, and it was beautiful because I had the opportunity to listen to some of what my dad was talking about in his prayer life.
Yeah.
And it was very intimate. It was very vulnerable. I
appreciated his comments because you could just tell that his prayer life it really meant a lot to him.
He took it very seriously.
Yeah, it was good.
And I would not have been able to have that moment if we weren't together in the men's group that we were in.
Yeah, it really is. It's the group that we have is just really, really, I think, unique because our dads are in it. My dad's in it. Your dad is in it. Mm-hmm. And then Ken and his son, mm-hmm. They're in it. And there's more people, but
right.
Yeah, but there are 3 father-son combos, and it's just a really beautiful group. Right. To be able to discuss spirituality like this with other men. Mm-hmm. And your dad. I mean, it's not just it's not a family affair,
right?
It's just men participating as men, but also you're there, with your father or with your son. It's very good.
Yeah, and so I just remember thinking, like, I'm so thankful for this moment.
Mm-hmm.
A moment that I may have never been able to have and get an in-depth understanding of some of his prayer life that he shared with us.
Yeah.
That it was very clear that he takes very seriously. He has some... anyway, it was just very great. Juan's showing right now, if you go to the Catholic Man Show and .com and just type in on the search bar how to start a Catholic men's group, we have a few little bullet points that you'd be able to go through, and we also have the brochure. Actually, Juan, if you'll take that off because that actually isn't accurate any longer. The brochure is only for patrons, so if you send that email, you will not get it. So, but if you join Patreon, yeah, patreon.com/the Catholic Man Show, we have that available for you. Basically, we've been a part of men's groups for 10 years now.
Do you remember back when it was Friends of the Show?
Yes, I do.
Long time ago.
That was
That's a throwback.
That is a throwback. But we've been part of men's groups for about 10 years, so we kind of just refined it. Here's the things that you do, here's the things that you don't do that we have found make a successful men's group, and we share that with you guys. So
beer and/or whiskey, pipes and/or cigars.
It's always a good starting point.
Put two of those together.
Good launching point.
And at least you'll have men who want to participate. You know what I mean?
To get going. Because
that is one of the hard things, is how do you get 5 to 10 guys who are going to be regular and consistent and well, do stuff that's cool.
And
as the
right,
something in the background, but really drink, having a drink and having a smoke, both of those things enhance your conversation. You know what I mean? Obviously when done in moderation.
Right.
So those are really good things. Even if you don't like to smoke cigars or like to smoke a pipe, still invite other people too. In order to do that, just because it will, I think, you will benefit from it, just the way it opens up a conversation. There's just something about it that allows it to flow.
Absolutely. Also, another callback from last week. We talked about the virtues of a job market.
Yeah.
Got a new job.
Booyah!
Decided to get a new job. Actually, I had the job already, but it wasn't officially announced, and so we couldn't talk about it on the show. But
congratulations, Adam.
Thank you.
I, as well as all of our friends and family, your friends and family, are just very, very excited for you. You're going to do a great job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It was pretty overwhelming that people were very excited about it, and I was like, man, talk about hyping it up before anything happens.
Yeah, don't let us down.
Yeah. But I am now
we will turn on you
so fast.
We are fickle.
I am now the director of communications for the Diocese of Tulsa in Eastern Oklahoma. So
what does that mean? What does that mean?
Basically, it means I tell the stories of all the good work that the good people here in Oklahoma do.
Nice.
That's what I do.
Get your elevator pitch down.
Boom.
Oh, after only 2 days.
Yeah. How'd you like that?
I do like it.
That was pretty good, huh?
And
that was not rehearsed. That's just what...
You just came to you right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's
the Holy Spirit.
That was the Holy Spirit. It's very clear.
If there's one thing I know, it's the Holy Spirit. Okay? That was him.
Yes. So anyway, I pulled a lot of the things that I was going through and during that time into last week's episode.
That's the thing about the show, Adam, is that mostly it's what are we doing at the moment?
Right.
Let's talk about that.
What are we struggling with right
exactly.
now?
What is going terrible?
Let's talk. People like that. People like to see us
just charity?
Struggle.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about charity.
Yeah.
That's how I've been really hating a lot this week.
That is something funny. On our prayer board tonight, it was just I walk in and my wife she's doing an amazing job getting dinner ready, corralling the kids, and I was like, okay, I'll take the kids for you for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you have a little bit of quiet time while you're getting dinner ready. So I get all the kids over and I'm trying to do my best to entertain them for a few minutes, and I realized, no, this is terrible. These are, they're not listening right. We're not playing the game right. You're not doing this right. And I realized, patience is something that I am just really struggling with right now. That went up on the prayer board today that Dad is praying for patience.
You know, like in Seinfeld, when George's dad gets he starts that mantra, serenity now.
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever felt well, so, like, sometimes I feel like yelling out, obedience now!
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little rough, but that's okay.
I don't think I was that obedient of a kid. I don't know. Is it?
No,
like,
you definitely were not.
it's
As your
just like,
best friend,
you know, they talk about, like,
I know you
payback.
very well. As a best friend, I know you
My
very
kids
well.
actually are obedient, but like there are
You
just
were not
some
as a
things,
kid.
something that's, you know, it's like, if you don't take another bite of food right now,
Finish what's on your plate.
it's like, my parental rights go pretty far.
Yeah, it's just been a little bit of a struggle, but
I don't know why that drives me so crazy.
well, there's just little tics that you have.
Eat your food!
And there's so many tics that you can have as a parent, and that you don't realize are going to drive you crazy until it happens.
Why don't they eat their food?
Well, that's not something I
like-
deal with. I don't deal with that. My kids eat eat
But
their food very fast.
but you used to have trouble with them eating food, right?
Very little.
I thought that was a thing that you went through for a while.
Jude was very slow at times, but that ended very quickly. Now my kids eat really, really fast. But
It's like, I don't
Hey,
know.
so-
Sometimes I wonder how they're growing.
what are you doing for Holy Week? Like, so how are you? Oh man, we're already done with this segment.
I'm just trying to finish strong.
Finish strong.
Yeah.
Watch the Passion of the Christ on
we will be
on Good Friday.
We don't usually do it on Good Friday. It's hard to fit in between like going to church and stuff. But
Well,
we do it.
stations, but there's no mass.
No, but then there's Veneration of the Cross also, which we do at St. Benedict's. Yeah, which is a separate service. So anyway,
Just finish strong. We're almost there.
We're the finish line.
We'll be right back with interview with Sister Helena Burns.
Helena.
Golly, I'm sorry. Helena Burns. This segment of the Catholic Man Show is brought to you by The Catholic Woodworker. Go to thecatholicwoodworker.com for heirloom quality home altars, crucifixes, and rosaries.
It's also the only place where you can get the official rosary of the Catholic Man Show. Type in promo code TCMS for 10% off all purchases. TCMS for The Catholic Man Show. CatholicWoodworker.com.
Also ready.
Okay, good. I just kind of assumed
so
you
you know.
were. You're bringing us in.
Oh yeah. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles. Here with Adam Minahan, Sister Helena Burns.
Helena.
Helena Burns. Helena? Helena? Helena.
Helena.
I knew it wasn't
The way
Helena.
the saint said it.
The way the who said it?
The way the saint said it.
Oh, yeah, okay. I like that. If they did it that way, then that's how I want to do it.
Nobody knows how she did it. It was 362 or something. We don't know.
Well, you're the one who bears her name, so I feel like you really have the final call in this conversation.
Okay.
Helena. Sister Helena,
Helena,
thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
We're just delighted to have you. There are, as you can imagine, not many women, female appearances on the Catholic Man Show, and so we're really, really psyched about today.
I did not know that, and
Yeah.
we have to change that.
Yeah, I think you're maybe the only. Well, so we had our wives on one
Our
episode.
wives were on once.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
So I
They're
think
women. They're real women.
They are women.
They are real women.
And then
That's,
I think
that's like nepotism. It doesn't count.
and I think we had Dr. Christine Myers.
Nepotism runs deep in the Catholic Man Show. You just gotta...
But yeah, so you're like maybe the third or fourth female on the show. Fourth is Jim. Jim is the historian of the Catholic Man Show.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
so welcome. We're so excited to have you. This has been
you.
a long time in the making.
Yeah.
We were going to try to have you here in Tulsa. The plan was pre-COVID to have you here in the studio with us.
Yeah.
But COVID ruined those.
Things are otherwise
Yes.
ordained. Yes.
So we get to have you at the next best way, which is via Skype. And also, I just want to give you a shout out on the creativity of your blog. The name is awesome. It's hellburns.blogs.
I get it.
It's like that,
I get it.
That is great. I'm a big fan. I'm excited to have you. For those maybe
Hell is the worst.
it is the
It
worst.
is it's the worst.
It's a great motivator. It's the greatest motivator.
Yeah. I agree.
I love hell. I love hell.
Rightly seen, yes. Yeah.
in rightly ordered. Yeah.
From the right point of view, it's the best. From other points of view, it's totally the worst. It's
Right. So maybe for those who don't know your story, maybe we give a little bit of background on who you are and how you've gotten to where you are today.
Where am I today? No, just-
Remember, sister, wherever you go, there you are.
There you are.
Okay, so I'm nobody special. You know, I'm just this little nun. I'm originally from Boston, and I'll keep this short and cut to the chase of my former radical feminism, because I think, you know, if I hadn't gotten over my radical feminism, in being in recovery here, I wouldn't be on this show, obviously, right?
She's regretting being on the show anyway.
So I define, see, feminism is not a dirty word. It means the protection and promotion of women.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, contrary to some famous Catholic men out there today who are saying there's no such thing as Christian feminism or like all feminism is bad, I don't agree with that. Because I define it in its most basic sense as the protection and promotion of women. What you think a woman is and what consists in her good protection and promotion is where you're going to take that. So there's a lot of bad feminism, yes, but there's a lot of good feminism too. So I'm a theology of the body feminist. So you know exactly what I believe. I believe in the complementariness of the sexes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything the Catholic Church teaches about male-female relationships, everything the Bible teaches. So how did I get to be a radical feminist? Which definition of radical feminism is you deny that there are any significant differences between the sexes, just some reproductive body parts, and that's about it. And so you get into this sort of egalitarianism and identicalness, which is not even scientific. And it's a disaster because you're not living in accord with your nature. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I was a radical feminist for most of my life. I went to public schools. I drank the Kool-Aid. You know, I was not in my home. My home was a traditional, you know, dad was the head of the family and all that, you know, home, Catholic home. But I rejected all of it from a very young age, just rejected all of it because I was listening to the media, I was listening to the culture, to my friends, to my teachers, and it made a lot of sense, right? And the women's movement was raging and women's lib and all of that. So it was my inner framework. It was the only like sort of philosophical framework I had to make sense of reality. And so I actually even brought it into the convent with me, but I hid it because I knew I was wrong, but I didn't know why. But it's all I have.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
That sounds like so cuckoo crazy. It's like, oh, people are like, oh, so you were a radical feminist nun? I'm like, no. I was a daughter of St. Paul. I came to believe in the truth of the Catholic Church because Jesus spoke to me from the Blessed Sacrament. And I was like, shoot, I have to be Catholic. No. I was like, I had one foot out the door, and then Jesus spoke to me, and then I realized this was his church. And then like 4 days later, he called me to be a nun. And anyway, it's a very strange story, really, when you think about it.
Crazy week. It's a crazy week right there.
So I was searching, though. I was trying to understand. I told God, okay, if this is your church, because you're in that little box, and none of my Protestant friends even have a little box.
Right.
It's not like they're claiming, no, we have him. He's here in our box. No, he's in our box. So I kind of knew, like, if he's in our box, in that box,
Yeah.
then this is his church, and I need to stop fighting him, but do, you know, what St. Anselm calls faith-seeking understanding, rather than I'll believe when I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Because we'll never fully understand. So,
Right.
so I was on this search, and as I entered the convent, I studied scripture and theology. Philosophy was great. Philosophy was awesome. But the theology I got was like, it just made me more confused. The reasonings and explanations behind church teaching made less sense than the church teaching until theology of the body. And then everything fell in place and everything started to click. And I had this huge theology of the body conversion. But it was a long time coming, so I would read something and didn't answer my questions, not helpful. Go to some talk, you're not answering my questions. And until John Paul II, till I really opened up the theology of the body in 2006. So, I've been a nun for a long time. So that was actually late in my nunhood career. And, so but it took time. Like even now I call it my ongoing theology of the body conversion, because there's still moments when I think I'm there and I learn something more and I convert more.
Mm-hmm. Then another door opens and you're like, I didn't even know this door was even there, and it's open now,
There's a big room on the other side.
Yeah. And sometimes it's because people challenge me, and and they think that they either apologize or sometimes people challenge me online and then other people attack them. Start talking to sister like that. And it's like, no, we're having a conversation. It's, calm down. It's okay. Take a deep breath. And people, put something else in front of me and say, read this, look at this. It's like, oh, okay. So we're always seeking truth, right? We're always on that path. But I think one of the biggest things with radical feminists is I was so close to being a man hater. Like I was so close, but I was too boho kind of hippie, laid back, that's ugly. Hating is ugly. Right. Yeah. So it was so I knew I couldn't go there, and I was a Christian and everything. So, but I had written men off as they think they're superior. They only want one thing from women. They treat us bad. They don't really want to get to know us, blah, blah, blah. So many things, had written men off until theology of the body. And then God sort of started explaining to me the masculine genius, right? Mm-hmm. And learning it through various TOB speakers, especially men, but some women too. And being able to see the beauty of men and seeing that, I think what's happening today, we see this, it's the radical feminism is out of control. It's now intersectional feminism, which has gotten to the point. So I just did a talk for the upcoming Theology of the Body virtual conference, the big one that's free, and then you can get a premium one if you want. So one of the premium talks is 10 ways feminism went wrong, my talk, and 10 TOB ways to fix it. And I'll just give you a hint that the 10th way feminism went wrong, radical feminism, is that we're at the point where we're saying a biological male is a woman.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
Well, doesn't that enrage a lot of the maybe old school feminists, because they spent their whole life saying that the fact that I'm a woman doesn't mean that the external realities of being a woman doesn't define me. And then the transgender people come along and now they're saying the only thing that defines me is these external reality. They're saying the exact opposite of what they worked their whole life to achieve.
I never thought of it that way, but it's true. And who's really, it's the English feminists, the British, like Germaine Greer and J.K. Rowling. Mm-hmm. They're fighting, and others that we don't know their names, but I see them, and they're fighting tooth and nail to say being a woman is not a feeling.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's biology that you can't change or become, Mm-hmm. So this is how far radical feminism has gone, and just pushed and pushed and pushed to the point where we have totally canceled ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a good point, that we got to define our terms, right? You were talking about feminism at the very beginning, and some people agree to it, some people disagree to it, but it's because we're not defining our terms to begin with, to figure out what we're agreeing or disagreeing with.
Always start off with defining
your terms. We have to define our terms. Yeah. So when we get back, we're going to continue this conversation and jump into the masculine genius of the conversation, sitting here with Sister Helena Burns. We'll be right back. I said Helena, didn't I? Did I say
You
Helena?
did. You said Helena.
Dadgummit. I was thinking the whole time, don't say it, don't say it, don't say
Start
it.
over. We have to start over.
Start
I
this
agree.
whole thing
I agree.
over.
Hang up and call us back.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
But yeah, don't you think that that's probably one of the big issues is that when you say feminism, it's such a loaded term that I'm a huge feminist if you define feminism as standing up for women who they are created by our God, like, and
Yeah. If you defined it as the dignity of every
upholding the
woman
yes,
is the responsibility of every man, then yeah, I'm a feminist.
I'm in.
I mean, not to say that it's
You
only
just
men's
quoted-
responsibility, but
You just quoted John Paul II.
I did.
I know that was the original. That was from John Paul II.
No, he stole that from me. He and Aquinas, they're always ripping off my stuff. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing, when we say defend women and stand up for women, let's define women now. And this is where people like back down because now we have to talk about differences. And
Right.
we're
Sure.
different. And
Sure.
one is not and our
No
current
kidding.
and our current world thinks that differences because they think like Marxists, they believe that if something's different than something else, one has to be superior.
Right.
And there's this endless oppression, like the oppressor and the oppressed dynamic. So when there's something different, there can never be solidarity. There can never be just collaboration, putting our weaknesses and strengths and gifts together. That's not allowed. It has to be this hostile relationship, which is not, and that's a Darwinian too, right?
Yeah.
Nature is red in tooth and claw. Darwin said that, not me. I'm quoting Darwin. So, so we have to like dig down to the roots of where this all came from and not just work on the surface.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, let's
I hate Marxism. It's the
yeah,
worst.
it is the worst. I read that. Did you read the book Karl Marx and the Devil? It came out recently.
I have it on my shelf.
Okay.
And I read all the interviews and all that. Yeah.
It's really good, but only the first like 4 chapters are about Karl Marx, and then the whole rest of the book is just about how communism is the worst. It's really
I'm
good.
thinking about switching over though, because it seems like if you get in early,
You definitely benefit if you're an early adapter.
it works out. It looks, I mean, it just like from a observer's standpoint, it looks like it works out really good. So I'm tossing it around. I'm kicking around the idea. You know,
Yeah.
haven't made no decisions yet.
Good. Thank you, Juan. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. Thank you, Juan, for all of your help this evening. Our producer, best friend, Juan Posada. Thank you, bud.
And when we say he's on the buttons, he's not literally on the buttons.
Good distinctions.
He just is.
He's
He's
pressing
over
them.
there by them. He's really by the buttons.
Pressing them.
He's within an accessible distance
Appropriate
of the
distance.
button. It's a very appropriate, distance of the buttons.
So we're here trying to define terms, making distinctions of both man and woman, because in order to we gotta draw distinctions if we're talking about male and female, and how just because they're different doesn't mean that we're not equal. And so, is that where we were at before the break, Dave?
Well, we talked about that on the break.
On the break, but that's where we were before we took the break.
Well, we were talking about feminism right before we took the break.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. But
And
I think we should transition.
Comrade Dave was talking about how enamored he is of the, communist movement and the fact that a lot of, the feminism today is really according to Marxist theory, critical theory, Marxist theory, right? So that kind of like, if something is different, then one has to be the oppressor and one has to be the oppressed, and you never get out of that dynamic. It's not like, oh, I can stop oppressing this person. It's this, you're just locked in there and you can never get out, which we know is true.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one big thing we have to say is that Cardinal Lacroix of Quebec said, radical feminism in the church is a heresy. He just recently said that, and I was like, Thank you, Cardinal Lacroix, because we have to be able to say these things. And I never even thought to say that, somebody who's like left radical feminism behind. But anything that comes into the church that is in opposition to Christianity, we have to name it and say, you know what? This doesn't belong here. One of these things is not like the others. One of these things just doesn't belong. And get rid of it and say, I'm sorry, like, we love you, the person who might be espousing this thing or practicing this thing or believing this thing, but we have to get rid of this ideology out of the church that does not agree with what Jesus Christ taught us. Mm-hmm. And it's not pretty. These are ugly things, right? These are ugly. Who wants to be locked in this oppressor-oppressed dynamic, right? We're supposed to be about love and charity and gift and service. So we have the language of gift, love, service, not the language of justice, rights, and power. And I think in the civil world, you need that. You know, we have to have justice, we have to have rights and power. But in the church, it's a higher law, you know, the law of love. And it's not just, you know, anything goes or individualism, where I just see as far as I can go getting what I want. You know, It's more of this predefined divine order, right? I love this. Okay. I never even heard that phraseology, the divine order. I learned that from Father Thomas Loya, a Byzantine priest who does theology of the body. And I mean, I love Eastern theology and liturgy anyway. And they just kind of live and breathe this stuff. Whereas we're kind of like making it up as we go along in the West, right? We think everything's mutable and changeable. And so one time he said something about the divine order, and I'm like, stop. What did you just say, Father? Well, the divine order, of course. And I'm like, what do you mean by divine order? Like, never in all of my theology and never had I heard this. And he said, well, the way God set things up, you know, in the universe, the laws of the cosmos and the laws in society and the family and the church and everywhere, right? Creation.
Like an expanded natural law, kind of.
Yeah. So, I mean, even the Trinity, there is a divine order in the Trinity. Do you think we can possibly obey a divine order if the Trinity can? You know, the Son is submissive to the Father, but there's no oppression there, right?
Right.
He does the Father's will. He is sent and does what the Father asks him to do. I don't do anything except what I see the Father doing. All of that. So receptivity is in the Trinity. You cannot receive a gift. Yeah. A gift cannot be given if there's no receptivity. So although females are really good at receptivity, and our bodies tell us that, right? Because our bodies are naturally receptive to men, to babies, to our cycles, the way our cycles go, right? But men have to be receptive to God too, in their own way, and receptive to women and all of that. So, but we do it as what we are. So it is what it is. That's really good philosophy, right? Something is what it is, and it's not something else. And the ancients defined happiness as living in accord with your nature. So when I was a radical feminist, I was fighting my own nature, not in like a way like people who want to become trans or transition. It wasn't like, I don't want to be a woman, I want to be a man. It was just, why did I have to, like, it was almost like becoming a woman was like the lesser thing. Like you got saddled with having babies, you know, you got saddled with the monthly cycles and the cramps. You got saddled with breastfeeding. You got saddled with all of this. And it's like, really? Is that a burden or a privilege? No.
Well, it's a whole warping of the understanding of self-giving, right? The self-sacrificial love of one another. Like, as a man, being able to receive even some of the understanding of what your wife is telling you, being able to be in tune with what she's experiencing and being aware of what how she's feeling, being receptive to some of the things that she may be saying is part of understanding that you guys are together and that you are self-sacrificial, loving her by being aware of where she is in the day.
And men can't have it all either. There's this big lie that, you know, you can have it all. You should have it all. Like, right, my first question is defining terms. All what?
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
And then this idea that like men have it all, even if they're married, even if they have their husbands and fathers, like they're doing whatever the heck they want. And it's like, no, but they haven't been sold a bill of goods that they can have it all the time, right? So I always say, like, look at these men. They may want to take a promotion and go somewhere else to some other state or something, but they're not going to uproot the kids out of the school, and the wife doesn't want to move. So he doesn't get to do that. Maybe he hates his boss, but it's really good money, so, but yeah, so I think this crazy idea that how many men would rather stay home with their kids than than see less of their kids than they do. Again, it's like, if you look at history, it's the Industrial Revolution really that separated men and women from their families. And I mean, back in the day, they had child labor too, so everyone was working in the factory. But people used to have home-based businesses, right? You were a blacksmith, you were a baker, you were a farmer, and kids saw a lot of both of their parents and learned the family trade, etc. So it's kind of unnatural when you think about it to have one parent gone most of the time working for the family. And now, with the pandemic, everybody's working from home. Not everybody, but a lot of people are. So that's a whole interesting dynamic. But yeah, I think this entitlement, I was reminding the ladies when I was recording my video on feminism that we're Christians. We don't look at the values and virtues of the world, entitlement, me first, self-realization. Yes, we want to have a healthy self-image and good self-esteem. Otherwise, you can't make a gift of yourself. It's not really a gift of self. It's just a compulsion, or I don't feel like I'm worth anything, so that's why I help other people all the time. It's from a sense of my worth and dignity, and I choose to serve others and love my neighbor, which, of course, like anything we hear about love in the Bible, is first practiced in marriage. The primordial relationship, all that stuff has to be first practiced in marriage, and then it seeps out to the larger community. So I think we've just really, really forgotten that.
Sister Helena,
I heard.
Let me ask you this question. What would you say is, in your estimation, the primary virtues or whatever of the masculine genius?
Can I hate to read things, but I did this thing where I pulled people on social media and I asked them, what do you think is the masculine genius? And men and women both answered. And so I actually split them up, like who were the men who answered, who were the women who answered.
Okay.
The number one masculine genius, as you know, is the ultimate masculine genius.
Is the giver of the gift?
No.
Oh. I don't know then, I guess.
What is the ultimate masculine genius? And it has its counterpart for women, the ultimate feminine genius.
Well,
I took a guess already, Adam.
I was going to say, well, for women would be the receptivity or the being the nurturer. But then
okay, you're saying it without saying it, but fatherhood and motherhood.
Okay.
Fatherhood and motherhood. So, and that's physical and or spiritual.
Sure.
Right? So so when we give of ourselves, we are exercising our motherhood or fatherhood, right? So I love this. This is from women. I just asked, what does it mean to be a man today? From the women, it has nothing to do with beards, duct tape. Controlled power shows meekness. Jesus showed us the masculine genius.
Yeah.
Asking for direction, taking care and protecting no matter what. Men have a strength so different from women's strength. My husband's strength allows me to be vulnerable when I'm around him. The masculine genius is the quality of a man who knows how to defer to the feminine genius before making ingenious decisions.
Ooh,
I like that.
I think I'm good at that one, actually.
Right, we'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Pretty sure I'm good at that one. I'm pretty sure.
I'll ask Pamela.
Yeah, because she has all my best ideas.
She is. She does that.
I mean, I say that all the time. Like, Pamela has all my best ideas. So therefore, I think that means I must be good at that one.
When you said it, I was like, I was wondering, like, well, I was gonna say giver as well, and then I was like, well, I don't know. Is she talking about the protector, provider, establisher? Like, and then I was like, where is she going with this? And then I realized you were talking about father.
Yeah.
You said
And then, of course,
fatherhood.
even prior to fatherhood and motherhood would be bride and bridegroom. Would be the
yes,
beautiful. Like, so that's
Absolutely.
one thing that we skip over a lot. It's like the call to universal fatherhood for men, but also this idea of universal espousal, right? That you cannot be a good father if you're not first a good husband.
Yep. And also the women too, right? So
Right.
So often it's because a couple's not working on their relationship, they stay united for the kids.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're not giving their kids the gift of seeing a beautiful marriage.
Right.
Or a marriage that works, or a partnership, where they're working it out. So
Yeah.
they don't know how to resolve conflict then.
Yeah, and they also don't know how to love. I mean, like,
Yep.
they
Yeah,
just
so-
they just know how to like get along.
Right? Or you stay together until the kids are out of the house and then you break up.
Mm-hmm.
And so the kids are getting this message today that you get married for the sake of children, and then you go start your second life.
Yeah.
You start your, get
Oh
your.
man, I hadn't thought about that.
I had this gal tell me, for my first marriage, you know what I want to do? It's like she's planning her first and second marriage, what she's going to do.
I wonder if
That's what
her
she said.
first husband knows that.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's true. No, the bridegroom and the
Yeah.
best gift you can give your kids is to love each other and put your marriage put each other first, in a sense. You know, like there was she has the Bad Mommy blog. She's from the early days of blogging. She's married to a famous novelist, and she's a novelist in her own right. They have 4 kids, and she got in a lot of trouble because she said, "I love my husband more than my kids."
Yeah, of course.
And they both love their kids to death.
Sure.
But she was trying to say, she said he was here first.
Yeah,
You know,
my
obviously
father-in-law has a saying that he used to tell his kids when they were growing up, that he would say, "Look, I chose her. You guys just showed up later."
It's so cute, right?
But I can remember as a kid my dad telling me that he loved my mom more than me. And I remember that and me thinking like, yeah. Okay.
Makes
yeah.
sense.
Right. Like it's not that like I thought he didn't love me. Like I
Right.
knew he loved me.
Yeah.
This wasn't a competition, but it was like,
But she was winning.
of course, like she's mom. Everybody loves mom.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
John
think
Paul II said-
I think I love mom more than you.
John Paul II says, marriage is always something different from family.
Mm.
The marriage is
Ooh,
always
that's
a
good.
distinct thing from, the kids. And this idea of like a family bed where the dog sleeps with the kids and the parents like, no, like I would never want that, you know?
No.
So
No.
it's almost
Oh.
like an excuse for not working on your exclusive, in a sense, relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Just mix it all up together and,
Right.
Your dad says, "I love your mother more than you," and then you say, "Oh, me too.
Yeah.
I love her more than you too."
Me too.
Yeah. High five.
Oh, do you remember the heavy metal band, Christian band, hair band, Bride? It's just
No.
called
No.
Bride.
No.
Okay, so they were fantastic. Dale Thompson, he's from Kentucky. He now has, I don't even know if they're still around, but he had a blues band called the Kentucky Cadillacs. And he has this amazing song to his wife or girlfriend, and it's, "I love Jesus more than I love you." So romantic, right?
Yeah. It sounds like a good blues song, though.
Yeah, it does.
But, again, the divine order, God first,
Yep.
our spouse second, and then our kids.
Yep.
But it's not like we're going to have to, like a competition. We don't have to exclude anybody.
Right.
It's not going to come down to that, like, who do I choose first? You choose them
Right.
all. But there's a divine order. There's hierarchy,
Hierarchy. Yeah.
right?
And guess who's at the
So-
top? A male figure. No.
So this is one way that I explain God revealing himself as Father, Son, and Jesus being male for all eternity in his humanity. So does that mean that men are a little more divine than women because God revealed himself as the masculine principle? It's the masculine principle. No, we are equal in our humanity, but everything that is not God is the feminine principle. Mother Earth, Mother Nature.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Bringing forth life. Yeah, Mother Church. Everything that's bringing forth life.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I have a chart to show this, but yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost like men are a kind of bridge between the two also. You could see the woman as the bridge, but you could also see the man as the bridge between the two.
So we're about to get started on our the last segment. Did you have more of the survey that you wanted to read?
I do.
Because I thought that was pretty good.
We're still going from the women answering, what does it mean to be a man today?
Okay, but
Mechanical.
hold on. Let's start the segment.
Yes, stand by.
We want to catch this on the radio part.
Don Juan. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles, here with Adam Minahan and Sister Helena Burns. We're discussing the masculine genius. And Sister, you were just...
Buckle up, because it's about to be a 7-hour episode.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about here, am I right?
That was... Yeah, I'm sorry.
Look, we can make a couple jokes.
We gotta make one joke before the segment.
A couple is fine. Sister... please continue, because I thought this was fascinating that you did, and you got a lot of good feedback here about your survey.
Right. So I asked folks online, what does it mean to be a man today? And I categorized them, what the women had to say, and then we'll get to what the men had to say. And there was a few overlaps. So one of the women said, mechanical gifts and beyond. Anything involving wrenches, grease, and heavy metal, not the music.
Yeah, that's basically true.
Instinct to protect. My father and brothers express their love by making sure my car's fluid levels are on point.
Yeah.
So I always tell women, like, the way men show their love may not be with like romance and flowers and all that stuff, but like they mow the lawn, they fix your roof. A quick story, my brother is a mechanic, and he was, one day my sister-in-law had her friend over, and they were just like sitting around having soda, whatever they were doing. And my brother's out there, mowing the lawn, and he was cleaning out a car. And so her friend looked out the window and said, "Oh, your husband's cleaning his car." And she said, "No, that's my car." She's like, "Your husband cleans your car on Saturdays?" She's like, "Yeah." She was like, "Whoa, like not my husband," right? So I always tell women, you have to understand, like, this is how men show their love for you. Okay. But I tell guys, you've got to bring the flowers and do the chocolates and do all that stuff, because we have the feels. You don't have, but I don't feel anything. You don't have to feel anything. We have the feels. Just do it. Okay.
Yeah.
You have no idea what it means to us.
Totally.
Well, I told her I loved her when I married her. It's like, no. We want to hear it every 5 minutes. Just like set up the texts, each day, like to go every few hours. Like, "Hey, honey, I'm thinking of you." Okay. All right. This is, again, what women are saying about what it means to be a man today. Creativity. Think about the things men have made. Buildings, machines, inventions, etc. Self-giving, protection, integrity, tenderness. Interesting, huh? Chivalry, bravery, and steadfast faith. Being a dad is holding the tension between being the protective dad and pushing you out into the big scary world to stand on your own 2 feet. I don't know what that was the tension between. I Googled it, and they said there's no such thing as the masculine mystique. Just for those who don't get the reference, there's a book called The Feminine Mystique. How about this? Permitting us to be our feminine selves. I never felt so feminine before meeting my husband. His strong inherent masculinity enables me to be myself and the mother of our children. Isn't
I think
that
that's
beautiful?
a big one. That's a
I-
really
I
big
like
one.
that one,
I want to
yeah.
come back to that one.
And I would say vice versa. Like a woman can enable a man to be the best man that he can be, right?
Yeah,
Now this is from the men.
totally.
What does it mean to be a man? From the men.
Mm-hmm.
Dark beer? Question mark.
Dark beer.
Correct.
I can tell you that it's not manufactured, purchased, a product, or an image. It's kind, uncompromising when it needs to be, and loving. The ability to think about nothing. I can open jars and fix appliances. We're the opposite of women in almost every way. Are you tired of being around women 24/7? Hang out with a guy.
Okay.
Holding together power with weakness, strength with tenderness. See, that was the thing that they both said. That's the overlap, tenderness. All possible through the vulnerability of love. I'm going to read that again. It's so beautiful. This is a man said this. What does it mean to be a man today? Holding together power with weakness, strength with tenderness, all possible through the vulnerability of love. Fatherhood, which is heroic, courageous, bold, and selfless. Knowing that the correct answer to any question is always, yes, dear. Oh, this is from a Protestant dude. The rest, I believe, were Catholic. This is a Protestant guy. Men are made to glorify God. Maybe the masculine genius resides in learning to give him glory in all things.
Yes.
And then a young Catholic dude that I know said, a charismatic young man, very amazing young dude. He said, the most amazing thing is when I feel the Holy Spirit working in me when he just takes over, as opposed to when I try to manufacture a holy moment or a holy sermon myself, LOL. To God be the glory. Isn't that beautiful?
I mean,
Yeah.
you can relate to that, right? I mean, there's been times I've been trying to, like, you know, you're sitting in adoration, you want that moment, so you're trying to, like, build it up mentally in your head, like, to have that crazy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go to adoration. I'm going to pray the rosary first, and then I'll do the holy stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Then I'll yeah.
Then I will levitate, and I'm feeling lighter. I'm feeling
Right,
light.
exactly.
Am I doing it? And
Towards the end, I'll bilocate for 20 minutes or so.
roughly,
You know.
yeah.
But he didn't say, I'm going to receive the Holy Spirit or be receptive. He said, I feel the Holy Spirit working in me. So that's more of a masculine take on it, right? Whereas the woman might say, I'm going to open myself to the Holy Spirit, or, just the concepts there. Okay.
Yeah. Sort of like the difference between Joseph and Mary. Like, after the angel came to Joseph, it says he did as the angel had told him. And Mary says, whatever,
Be it done to me.
be it done to me.
Be it-
So Mary's saying, be it done to me, and then Joseph is saying he did. So it's like a masculine outward response versus a feminine receptive response.
Right. Which again does not mean passive,
Right.
That women are passive. It's women receive in a giving way. So we receive in an active way, whereas men act or give in a receiving way. So men, part of the masculine genius, as you were trying to say, I think, Comrade Dave, is men are the initiators of the gift of love and life.
Right.
That's what their bodies do. And so that's what the spirit does, because they're the same, right? So that's why women have to wait to be asked on a date, wait to be proposed to, right? So men think that women keep them waiting. It's the reverse. Okay, we have to wait for men to ask us out.
Oh.
Wait for men to propose. Okay,
It's definitely the
just say-
reverse. Yeah, women are definitely waiting on men. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Before my brother was born, he's a year older than me. My dad made my mother wait while he shaved. She was ready to give birth. He had to
Hold on, honey.
shave.
Yeah. Well, can you just hold it for 20 minutes?
Okay.
It's been in there for 9 months. You can hold it for 20 more minutes.
Okay. So we're finishing up with what does it mean to be a man today and what men said about that. Watching the ball game, I'm an Einstein at that.
Yeah,
Love from the outside in.
I like it.
Extremely focused. We are the reflection of the Father. When a man acts from his true nature and a developed conscience, we love. A giving, protecting, providing love that supersedes self-interest.
Yes,
Wow.
supersedes self-interest. I mean, there's a lot of repeating themes of the self-sacrificial love in these, which
is good. I'm glad to
good.
see this. Yes.
Yeah, I was shocked. I'm kind of shocked. By
good
some of
results.
these. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I love this one word, impartiality. That's been my experience of the good men that I know. Notice I said good men, the good men that I know.
Right. Yeah.
Fair. Give everybody a fair shake. Give everybody a listen, hear them out, not getting emotional over it and, going one way or the other. Impartiality.
I like that.
The capacity for self-gift. Our orientation is outward toward the world. Oh, and this is my brother. My brother actually, he's not on social media very much, but he actually saw this and responded. He said, "What is the masculine genius? It is not having to answer questions that require any kind of introspection." Oh, man. Yes. So I've heard it said that the masculine genius is that men go out, or transcendence, right? So men reflect God's transcendent love. They go out of themselves, out into the world, and work on it to make it a better place. Women image God's immanent love, which is bringing the world towards ourselves to make it a better place. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense when you just compare the two. Like one of the biggest differences between men and women is that women are beautiful and men are not. Okay, and there's no debating that. It's just the way it is, but it goes exactly with what you're saying. Women are drawing the world into themselves because they're attractive, right? Like the world wants to be drawn into them, and like men have to chase it a little bit, but. But it just like everything, I like that. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. So I think we hear so much about how men, it's a no-brainer how men image God, because it's all external, it's there, it's in your face, it's ostentatious almost, So how do women image God? Because we image him differently.
Right.
And it's through his immanent love. And the Catechism of the Catholic Church, 239 and 2779. I can't memorize numbers. I'm numbers dyslexic. I'm seriously dyslexic. But this means so much to me that I was able to memorize those two. Catechism of the Catholic Church, 239 and 2779, talk about how God in his divinity is beyond gender, right? So we're not saying, God, you're saying God is a man. No. Jesus in his humanity is a man. In his divinity, he's beyond gender.
Right.
Okay,
but
so
the Catechism even says
hold
that
on.
God loves...
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but with the radio, we're about to end. So check us out on our podcast to continue the conversation. We're on the Lord's team.
The winning side.
So raise your glass.
Okay, sister, keep going.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was not trying to be rude, but
you've got a program you've got the divine order there going on.
We have an order
right?
going on. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not quite divine,
It's
but
not divine.
we do have to follow it all the same.
So what was I saying? Oh,
277, the Catechism.
Yeah. So, and it actually does say that God loves us also with the love of a mother.
Mm-hmm.
But that is it's not the same as father, because that's what God revealed himself as, and he's the father as source.
Right.
The source of all things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's when you understand it in the right way, even patriarchy, to say that the church is a patriarchy is wrong. There is a kind of spiritual patriarchy, obviously, with the 12 apostles, a continuum from the 12 tribes of Israel, and the hierarchy will always be male. But the church is also matriarchal. She is feminine. She is Holy Mother Church, the bride.
She is the bride, right?
Yeah, and that includes men.
Mm-hmm.
So one of our sisters says it's almost like women are overrepresented in the church because the entire people of God, the laity, are all feminine. They're all the bride. And then we have this one priest up there, right?
Yeah.
But But even that's not true, because God gave us this beautiful balance of the masculine and the feminine. Even when we don't do it well or do it right, it's there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, but why don't we try to live it well and live it right? Because we have to define our terms and know our faith, right? Know this, this bridal imagery and bridegroom imagery, which we can't do away with this. It's biblical. You can't do away with biblical symbols and images. And it's built on reality that God created. We didn't make this up. So you hear people today saying, oh, we have to do away with gendered theology because it's hurting people. And it's like, no, it's not hurting anybody. And as Dr. Monica Miller says, who wrote this book called The Authority of Women in the Catholic Church, nothing to do with women's ordination, she said, if we do away with sexual imagery, we will do away with the entirety of the Catholic faith.
Preach it.
That's what God chose, right? So the thing is to unpack. I don't hear or see very many people, especially women, doing this. And this is where we need to go today, right into this, without fear or anything, because it's not oppressing women. It's not oppressing women, not at all. And patriarchy, I mean, if you look it up in the dictionary, it will have all different answers. I found one dictionary definition that simply said, tracing the line through the father, right? So we don't want like paterfamilias. That's not a good way to think of patriarchy, because as you know, probably the paterfamilias, the Roman patrons there, they could kill their own kids and their wife, and that wasn't even considered murder, because they were like the big they were the big honcho. They could do whatever they wanted, and everybody else was like, didn't have rights and stuff. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about the good father. Why can't we stop talking about like bad fathers?
Right.
We talk about good fathers. And so I always say, like, well, how do you know you had a bad father? You must have an idea of what a good father is. God is that good father. That's who we're supposed to model ourselves on.
So I wanted to go back to one of those ones you read from the women. It was something about allowing me to be a woman or something. Can you read that one again?
Yeah. Permitting us to be our feminine selves. This is what does it mean to be a man today. Permitting us to be our feminine selves. I never felt so feminine before meeting my husband. His strong inherent masculinity enables me to be myself and the mother of our children.
See, I think that is one of the primary things. It's like one of the biggest geniuses of masculinity. And I think both sexes, when you look at their genius, you realize from their perspective, the other is more important than them. From the feminine perspective, they would say like, oh, the masculine is more important than myself. From the male perspective, we would look and say the feminine is more like everything about me is designed to enhance you. You know what I mean? It's like the men are there to establish like, I don't want to use the word safe space, but like a place.
Please don't.
I'm not. I won't.
Yeah.
But they're there to cultivate and to allow the feminine genius to
thrive,
flourish and bloom, and like to reach its fullness.
When good men lead, women and children can flourish.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When good men don't lead, women and children have to scramble and try to do everything for themselves. And again, it's not to say we have plenty of single moms, right? But they'd be the first ones to tell you this is really hard. I have several friends who are single moms. They're like, this is really hard to do by yourself, right? So I think it's true that
and they shouldn't have to do it by themselves. That's the thing.
That's a line from Courageous, the movie Courageous.
Oh, really? I have not seen it.
You know the Kendrick Brothers movies? War Room?
I've
seen War
I have
Room.
not seen War Room.
Fireproof?
I've seen
Courageous?
Fireproof. I've not
Anyway.
seen Courageous.
Yeah, it's really great. It's this one of the dads, about 5 different dads. They're all cops, very different life histories and life stories. And he's saying, God bless single moms, but that was never the plan, that they were to carry this weight all by themselves.
Right.
Right. Because they're carrying two crosses. They're carrying the cross of motherhood and fatherhood by themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So,
I'm sorry. That kind of sounded weird because fatherhood is not a cross, but there are things that come with fatherhood that are difficult.
Yeah.
That is passed on to the mother. That would be passed on to the mother. I just wanted to make sure. I'm a big fan.
What do you
I'm pro
hate?
fatherhood.
You hate-
pro motherhood.
You hate your fatherhood? Is that what it is, Adam?
Just wanted to make sure that I was
Just
like,
a-
oh, that didn't come out the right
Just
way.
a burden to you. You and Karl Marx would get along, I'll tell you.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure that came out awkward. So
Dave is very evolved because he said, well, I see, my wife, I see her as preeminent. She sees me as preeminent. Because you're living a Christian marriage, which is what you're supposed to do in Christian marriage. But I think there's also something to be said for the fact that men, this is how I see it and say it, men instill and maintain the divine order in society. This is what they're called to do. Not to say that women can't do it or don't do it, but primarily this is a male thing. And when that happens, like I said, women and children everything flourishes, right? I have an example in my own life. My cousin, it's a long story, but my cousin married a guy who was part of a very highly skilled, very small union that worked in the city. Mm-hmm. And they had this great guy who was like a grandpa figure who was the head of the union. There was no funny business. There was no corruption and all of the stealing or whatever and paying people under the table. It was like above board, and everybody had a great standard of living and a great life and a great community, great family type union situation. They got this terrible guy in after him who was a crook. He was a criminal, and people died on his watch. He was that bad. It's a long, long story. But I remember thinking, that's like the anti-divine order, what that man instilled, right? So I think that men can use that beautiful band of brothers they have for bad purposes, right? And I think men have to use it for good. I think that's a big challenge for men, because men don't like to break ranks, and they're not supposed to. Men have such camaraderie. Like, we don't have that as women. We have our wine and cheese book clubs. It's not the same, Men.
You guys should try smoking cigars at your wine and cheese book clubs. Works for us.
So, sister, I got to tell you the story, and I think I don't know if you heard. I don't know if we told it at the Courage conference or not. But one time, so Dave and I have been best friends since we've been 5 years old. Our wives are great friends. We have a great group of friends that we meet up all together. One day we had dinner together, and we decided it was like 6 couples. I think six couples, and we decided, let's have all the men sit together on one end of the table and all the women sit together on another end of the table.
Which is what everyone wants to do anyway, really, at the end of the day.
And so we did. We all sat and we had dinner. It was great. On the way home, I was talking to my wife, and the same thing happened with all of us. We realized afterwards we had this conversation. I was talking to my wife. I was like, So what did you guys talk about? And my wife was like, oh, well, so-and-so's having a baby, and they just named, they just had one, and they had named it Leo, and all these different things about what was going on in their lives, and, what was happening, and who was pregnant. And
a lot about babies.
A lot about babies. And then Haley was like, well, what'd you guys talk about? And I was like, well, we talked about just war theory is what we talked about, and we almost came to fisticuffs.
Right. That and the morality of the death penalty.
Yeah.
Which is true. That is what we talked about.
That's exactly what we talked about. But it was just so hilarious that she was like, oh, well, so-and-so's having a baby. And I was like, what? She's pregnant? I didn't even know that. She's like, well, you guys sat down with the dad at dinner all night long. You guys didn't even talk about it. I was like, no, we did.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, on my way home, my wife and I had almost the exact same conversation. And she was telling me, I remember just thinking, your conversation sounds so lame. I'm glad I didn't sit down there.
But isn't it interesting just how the different conversations that men and women have?
Yes. And yet, I have to say, not that you were stereotyping there, but I do believe we have to be careful of stereotyping. So there's a
Sure.
lot of women like myself who would much rather have been sitting talking about just war theory and whatever, right?
Sure.
So-
sure.
Sure.
And I think even though women tend to be more personal, right? We're more subjective, and I don't mean subjective in a bad way, but in the good way of like the person, the subject of the sentence, you know, like always bringing the personal in. Like, we're not just going to talk about dollars and cents. How is this going to affect families, right? How is this going to affect children and the people concerned, right? So, yeah, I just think we have to be careful sometimes about stereotyping. However, I will say that women and men really, the way they speak is completely different, right? So if you watch a bunch of guys, they stand around, one guy will talk for 5 minutes and they all listen, and then the other guy talks for 5 minutes, right? Women, we all talk at the same time for a very short period of time, and we're all listening to like 3 conversations at the same time.
It's so impressive. I'm
And we
very
all
impressed.
like, whenever I say this, nobody takes offense when I say this to an audience, and all the women are like, I do that. Yes. My brother, he is actually a big talker. But he'll like, when I talk to him on the phone, he'll like monologue for like 20 minutes. And I'm really interested. And if I try to ask a question, I'm interrupting. I'm like, I just want to, like, I want to understand like more about what you're, I'm interrupting. It's like, okay. And that's because men compartmentalize, right? And men focus just one side of their brain at once
Yes.
time, and then they switch to women. We're firing on both pistons, all the pistons all the time, right? So, and there's a reason for that, because of what God has outfitted us to do and called us to do. Mothers who take care of little babies and nurture small children while they're doing everything else have to be like the world's best multitaskers, or people are going to die.
Right.
Little people are going to die.
That's true.
Yeah, very literally.
Yeah.
And men, they're like flying airplanes. Not that women can't fly airplanes, or, you know, drive a dump truck, or I don't know what the heck. And if they're not monomaniacally focused, people are going to die. So it's all about death. It's all about who's going to die and who's not going to. But so if we can just accept these like amazing gifts that we have, but to always understand why we have these gifts. God outfitted us for a good reason for this. And newborn baby girls and newborn baby boys, they react and act in completely different ways. So they haven't been culturally conditioned yet, right?
Right.
They just popped out. They just came out of the womb. Nobody has, you know, told them to act a certain way. And then they'll say, well, when the researchers, like, they were talking to the boys, so they acted a certain way and they were giving signals. They didn't know. The researchers, those double blind, whatever you call them, you know, like, they didn't know which baby was which. They just saw this little bald-headed baby and started talking to it or doing the little tests on it, right?
Right.
And the boys act and react completely differently from little girls from birth. So, because it's in us. It's just the way our brains are wired, you know? And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So,
Oh man.
like the French say,
Thank
vive
God.
la différence, right?
That's what they're saying?
I didn't even know.
I thought they were saying Vive la France this whole time. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you guys are all right. Vive la différence!
Long live different.
So before we go, I was told that you're a big hoodie fan. That
Are you a hoodie
I
fan?
should have worn our hoodies. We should have worn hoodies.
I know who told you that one.
Who told me that one?
Sister Teresa Lathia?
Yeah, well, I saw it on. She didn't tell me
Oh.
personally, but I saw her
Oh,
post
right.
about it.
So I
Yes.
really despise hoodies. I think they're just, you know, when I was growing up, they were called sweat jackets. We didn't call them hoodies.
Sweat
That's how-
jackets. That sounds
Sweat
way
jackets.
worse.
That's right. And that's why you never put the hood up. You just left it down there. Nobody put
Sounds
their hood
gross.
up. It's sweatpants, sweat jackets. Now they call them, I don't know, what do they call them? Jogging pants.
Sweatpants. They call it
Sweatpants?
sweatpants. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, those were called sweat jackets, right? And you never put that hood up. That was so uncool to put the hood up.
Really?
And now it's like this cocoon that everybody like. I told one of my sisters, she looks like the Unabomber. You know, she puts her pilot sunglasses on, or whatever you call those. and
Aviators?
puts the hood, those, and then puts the hood and goes into her little cocoon, like while we're all together.
I
And
saw
it's like,
I saw that picture of all the sisters around. They all had their hoods up right next to you and took a picture.
They were trolling me. They were so bad.
I'm gonna tell. So there's some Benedictine monks here in our diocese. I'm gonna tell them like, hey, Sister Helena, she doesn't like your hoods.
It's creepy. Like, why are you trying to hide your identity there? Anyway.
So, people, your blog, Hellburns at blogspot.com, is that correct?
Nope, it's hellburns.com.
Okay.
That is
Hellburns.
good. That is good.
And if anybody out there wants to give me their email so I can send them some goodies like resources on the masculine genius, I've compiled a list of like movies and documentaries and books. You can.
Sweet.
This is a texting service, 617-850-5584, 617-850-5584, and all you do is send me your email address. That's it. No other words. You just text your email address.
Nice. Are you doing it right now?
Well, I'm trying to. Hang on.
One more time. The number. One more time.
617.
850-5584, and you'll get some goodies.
Sweet.
I have compiled like a whole list of theology of the body movies for guys, like guys movies,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
and then gals movies and documentaries.
I need that list because I'm not a very good movie guy, and so I need good movie. Because here's the reason why I'm not a good movie guy, because people always say, "Go watch this movie; it's so great," and then I go spend 2.5 hours, and I'm like, "This was a terrible movie. I can't watch it with my with my wife. It's not a very it's just not a good movie. It's it's immoral. Like I can't do this.
We're your friends.
I know. Well, this guy, I'm looking for a new one.
Have you watched A Hidden Life yet?
No, I have not. That's my next one though. That is my next movie that I'm
Sister,
watching.
have you seen A Hidden Life?
That has become my #1 film on the planet.
It's
No
That
kidding.
is the best movie ever made.
I'm telling you, it's incredible.
It's on my next list.
You know what though? He doesn't like the Lord of the Rings, so like, also we shouldn't be valuing his opinions on stuff.
That's
Okay, so
too
what
much.
does he like? Give us a movie you do like.
I don't know. Like, he used to like movies in college, and he's admittedly not the same person as he was in college.
That's
you know?
accurate.
And
yeah.
I don't think he likes movies. That's what I think now.
I was just going to say that because he hesitated. We said, well,
Yeah.
what's a movie you like? He's just like staring off into space. Like,
Yeah, I'm
He just-
trying to remember.
he
Like, I'm
doesn't
trying to
like-
remember.
think of-
Well,
he
I'm trying-
watches too many. Well, he doesn't watch too many shows. He watches shows.
I'll watch a show. Like I watch
and he likes
TV
some
show.
shows.
show, like a TV show?
Yeah, like
What's
a
a
TV
show?
show. Like a TV show. Like I'll watch
Like
like,
what?
The
Which one?
Office. Like I'll watch The
No,
Office.
but you
every
watch
once in a
like
while.
what's the other one that you like? The one with the killing and the Crusades or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
Kingdom,
couple.
something,
Yeah,
Kingdom.
Last
Kingdom, you like that one.
That was pretty good.
I didn't watch that one.
It was. I don't like to
Actually,
promote it because it
Some
was.
people don't like movies. It's true. Some people actually don't like movies. And I get that because, like, I'm from New England and we're like booky people. Like, we have our noses in books all the time. And so, but then I was a media nun, #media nuns. I had to, like, do something, like with
You had to do something with media, so.
So I studied.
Remember when books
screenwriting
used to be
in
media?
UCLA, and I, it's an acquired taste for me, But I found myself recently kind of pulling back from my movie watch. It's so hard to keep up, right? It's like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? And like you said, 2.5 hours
I know.
of my life, and then
Right.
you don't like it in the end. Like, I just wasted 2.5 hours of my life. I don't know.
That's how I felt about Infinity War. I was so mad at the end of that movie. I didn't know it was a 2-parter. Nobody told me that.
I don't know
So
anything about that. movie.
everybody dies in the end, and it's like, that's it. Like, what? That's anyway. Then I found out there's gonna be a
Here's my-
second part, and I was like, okay.
Blessed Franz Jägerstätter. They did not say one of his most famous lines in there.
Oh, really?
That he said just because they were telling him he was being really selfish to to give his life, and he wasn't giving his life. He tried really hard. He kept saying
He didn't want to
"Send me as a
die.
medic." Yeah, it was like, send me as a medic. I'll sign up for the army, but I'm not going to like fight because this is a war of aggression, and I am certainly not going to take an oath to Hitler.
Right.
Madman, right? So, but they wanted, it was all about the oath. They wanted him to take the oath.
Right.
So then everyone was like, I think they showed it in the movie really well, where they were at him like, what about your wife and your 3 little girls? Like, there could be repercussions. And we all took the oath. We all took the oath, right? Oh, you so special? Like, what are you saying about us? Like, that we're wrong, So he had opposition. He had the Nazis themselves. He had everybody, even some of those priests, right? And whatever,
Right.
telling him, oh no, you save your skin, whatever. And he said, I don't think that just because a man has a family, he doesn't have to do his conscience.
Wow.
Otherwise, we could all just say, well, I have this, I have that.
It's for
I have to protect
this.
I have-
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what
Yeah.
I always tell teens about the story of Franz Jägerstätter. And like, I just tell them, and I have a picture of him on his motorcycle, like, that's it. And they start clapping. Like when they hear his story, this is before the movie came out. And I'd say, so do you, did you think he did the right thing? And I said, so what could have happened is his children and grandchildren could have been ashamed of their grandfather and just not talked about him, right? Because, well, he was a Nazi, and or he did what he had to do, because that's what people did back then. He did what he had to do. Or they could say, my grandfather is Blessed Franz Jägerstätter.
Right.
Right.
What is a better legacy to leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just love that guy. He was 36 years old. 36.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines in the movie is when that like attorney who's assigned to him is trying to get him to sign the oath, and he says, just sign it and you can go free. And he looks at him and says, I am free.
Oh wow.
And it's like, you realize it was just like, boom. Like, yeah, he might be in prison, but he's actually the only one like in the whole country who's free. You know what I mean? It is like such a beautiful like depiction of what freedom really is, not what it's sold to be. But anyway,
Archbishop Shapiro has this new book coming out. I think it's actually out now. It's called Things Worth Dying For. Have you heard about this?
I thought it was just a book on death, like nobody tells you how to die or something, or dying well, but I didn't realize it was about things worth dying for.
Yeah, it says I was pulling up because I was considering audiobooking it, but it's Things Worth Dying For, and then Thoughts on a Life Worth Living.
that's what I'm gonna probably actually read instead of audiobook.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna read that as well. Sister,
I'm gonna wait for the movie.
I'm gonna wait for the movie. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for your
Movie's
response,
always better.
Your review
movie's
of the
better.
movie, and that's what I'll do. I just wait for your review. Sister, thanks so much for hanging out with us. It's been so much
Thank you for
fun.
having me. Yes, I hope we did the masculine genius a little bit of justice.
I think so.
I think so. And we can have you, hopefully, when we get past everything, the invitation to come to Tulsa is a standing one. So hopefully you can come.
Indeed.
And
I have Tractor's album.
You have a Tractor's album?
Okay.
I do.
Okay. We can
Okay.
listen to it as we're standing next to the TPs and Horse and Buggy, and it'll be a big hit.
It will be. The folks at the hoedown they'll really like that.
It's called shuffle, right? Am I right?
Yep.
The two-step.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Tell everybody hello for us. Tell Sister Teresa hello
Will
for
do.
us.
Keep the ancient faith.
Yes.
Tell Sister Ruth we say hi.
Okay,
She
I
does,
will.
She does not know us, but tell her we said hi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll tell her Juan says hello.
Yes.
That's the best. Yes.
Hola.
I say hola.
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 Hola mucho. Throw in a mucho.
You're funny.
Thank
my
you
gosh.
so much. It's been a
So
blast.
thank you. God bless you. Blessed Easter.
Yes. Blessed Easter.
Yes, indeed.
Okay,
Bye.
take
Bye,
care.
sister.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.